Edward James Zakrzewski II is the ninth Florida inmate executed on July 31, 2025, a grim milestone making it the state's busiest year for executions since the 1970s. In this video, we'll take you through the life of a man whose family appeared to have it all, seemingly the picture of success, but beneath the surface, there were deep struggles and untold turmoil. Edward James Zakrzewski's story is one of emotional instability, a crumbling marriage, and a catastrophic snap that led to the brutal murder of his wife and children. We'll walk you through the chilling crime that shocked the community, the devastating moments when his world unraveled, and the aftermath that kept him on death row for nearly 30 years. You'll hear about his final meal, the last words he spoke before his execution, and how his tragic end brought justice to the victims. Stay with us as we unravel the life, crimes, and final moments of Edward James Zakrzewski II. Zakrzewski's crime dates back to June 9, 1994 in Okaloosa County, and it is one of the most horrific imaginable. The victims were his own family. Edward James Ed Zakrzewski II was born on August 3, 1964, in Mary Esther, Florida. His childhood appeared to be relatively unremarkable, but there were signs of trouble that would later surface. Like many individuals with violent tendencies, Zakrzewski's background revealed a mix of personal turmoil, family instability, and psychological factors that contributed to his later actions. Zakrzewski's family seemed to have an outwardly normal life. However, by the time he was in his early adulthood, his personal life began to deteriorate. His marriage with Sylvia Zakrzewski, which was crumbling by 1994, seemed to be the catalyst for the violent outburst that led to his horrific crime. Ed Zakrzewski, an Air Force veteran, was facing a divorce he refused to accept. In a murderous rage, he decided that if he couldn't keep his family together, he would annihilate them. On June 9, 1994, during his lunch break, he went out and purchased a machete. That evening, after Sylvia returned home and was sitting in the living room, Ed ambushed her. He bashed his wife in the head with a crowbar, then strangled her with a rope until she went limp. He next turned the machete on their 7-year-old son, Edward Jr., brutally hacking the boy to death. Finally, in the bathroom, Ed cornered 5-year-old Anna, their daughter, and struck her repeatedly with the blade, killing her as well. The violence was extreme. Forensic examiners later testified Sylvia sustained a fractured skull and at least 8 machete wounds, and that little Anna likely witnessed her brother's death before she was killed. In Ed's warped mind, he later claimed he thought he was sparing his children from a life of pain. In reality, it was vengeance of the most horrific sort. After slaughtering his family, Zakrzewski fled. He drove to Orlando, caught a flight to Hawaii, and hid out under a false identity in a religious commune, all within days of the murders. For 4 months, he evaded capture, until the case was featured on Unsolved Mysteries on TV. Astonishingly, the host family in Hawaii recognized Michael Green as Ed Zakrzewski from the show. They immediately contacted local authorities. The very next day, October 15, 1994, Zakrzewski surrendered to local police without incident. Following his capture in Hawaii, Zakrzewski was taken into custody without incident. He was quickly extradited back to Florida to stand trial for the gruesome murders. His case, though less notorious nationally, became a rallying point for death penalty proponents in Florida. A man who slaughtered his entire family in cold blood. Back in Florida, he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder in 1996. A jury recommended death for Sylvia's and Edward Jr.'s murders by votes of 7-5, and a life sentence for Anna's 6-6 vote. A bold judge overrode the life recommendation and imposed a 3rd death sentence for Anna's murder, noting this court cannot imagine a more heinous or atrocious way of dying. Zakrzewski showed no emotion as he was sent to Florida's death row in 1996. Fast forward 31 years to July 31st, 2025. Zakrzewski, now 60, has spent nearly 29 years on death row. In that time, Florida's laws changed to require unanimous jury recommendations, meaning if he were tried today, he might not have been eligible for execution. But his appeals failed. The courts upheld his sentence. The execution is scheduled for 6 p.m. on a steamy summer evening of July 31st, 2025. That morning, Zakrzewski woke at 5:15 a.m. He accepted a final meal that spoke to his upbringing and tastes. Fried pork chops smothered in onions, with sides of fried potatoes and crispy bacon, buttered toast, and to drink a cold root beer. For dessert, he enjoyed vanilla ice cream and a slice of pie. It was a large meal, and officials reported he ate well. He had one visitor that day, not a family member. None remained to visit him, but a spiritual advisor, with whom he prayed. As the execution hour nears, Zakrzewski remains composed and, according to guards, compliant. In the execution chamber, 14 witnesses assemble, including reporters and a few anti-death penalty activists. No relatives of Sylvia, Edward III, or Anna are present. After 3 decades, their loved ones perhaps chose private remembrance over witnessing the killer's end. When the curtain rises, Zakrzewski seizes the moment to speak. In an eerie, almost flippant tone, he offers unrepentant final words. "I want to thank the good people of the Sunshine State for killing me in the most cold, calculated, clean, humane, efficient way possible. I have no complaint." His voice is steady. He even quotes from a poem, an elegy that drifts incomprehensible through the chamber speakers. It's a chilling performance, as if he's approving the state's methodical approach to death. Some witnesses exchange uneasy glances. They've never heard final words quite like this. At 6:12 p.m., the lethal injection proceeds. Zakrzewski closes his eyes and begins deep, deliberate breathing as the drugs enter his veins. A prison official in a dark suit shakes Zakrzewski's shoulders and calls his name loudly. There is no response. Within minutes, the man who wiped out his entire family is pronounced dead. Outside, in the gathering dusk, a silent alarm rings. This was Florida's 9th execution of 2025, setting a new state record for modern times. The public debate intensifies. Supporters say justice was finally served for Sylvia, Edward, and Anna, while opponents note the disturbing pride in Zakrzewski's final statement. But in the end, all that remains of this story is a quiet grave for a mother and her children lost in 1994, and the sterile record of an execution carried out in 2025.